In this vidcast, I will inform you about the overall history of magazines. Magazines, also known as periodicals, are publications that appear on a regular schedule and contain a variety of articles. They are financed by advertising, a purchase price, prepaid subscriptions, or sometimes all three of these means. Directly stated by Dr. Anthony Curtis, who is part of the Mass Communication Department at the University of North Carolina. When magazines first came to be in the United States, they looked like books. They were filled with all sorts of stories, essays, and poems. Some of the most famous stories had their first appearance in magazines, such as Moby Dick, Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn, and many more, prior to going to actual book form. Stated by M.D. Stephen Lamazzo, New Jersey neurologist and an avid collector of American ephemera. These type of magazines were called literary magazines, and it seemed like everyone was getting into the groove of this.
These were the general interest magazines. The Saturday Evening Post romanticized American virtues thanks to the help of Norman Rockwell's illustrated covers. Reader's Digest rehabilitated the use of magazines as a storehouse for collective of literary works and their condensed versions. Time magazine developed a brand of interpretive journalism, where the reporter's findings would be given in narrative form and point of view by the editor. Life magazine became iconic through its use of photojournalism and the power of images to chronicle events of ordinary and extraordinary events.
Life and Saturday Evening Post are both general interest magazines, which means they both provide information to a general educated audience on a range of topics, which was said by John W. Hicks and was found in his undergraduate Purdue University library. Photographs, illustrations, and graphics are used to enhance the overall publication, also stated by John W. Hicks, which is why when you come across a Life magazine, first published in 1936, there's this amazing photograph on the cover, usually black and white, of a famous person during that period. Even a soldier, mother, child were often splashed on the cover. Either way, it made the readers want to pick it up, buy it for 10 to 25 cents at the most, and continue to read. Same went for the Saturday Evening Post, which was first published in 1821, whose graphic and sometimes humorous designs captured the reader's attention. But who was this educated audience? As public education increased, so did people's interest in reading. As more and more people were able to receive at least some form of education, more people were able to read, and the demand for magazines grew in leaps and bounds. By the 30s, advertising in magazines hit a high mark, showing that the popularity of the medium had grown extensively. Soon publishers began to find niche markets from which to create unique magazines. Out of this movement grew the vast variety of specialty magazines available on the market today, directly stated by Daniel Smith on articlesnatch.com. Specialization is the name of the game, and sometimes the key to survival, says Adele M. Banks. This transformation from general interest to niche publications began with the popularization of television.
TV came and turned the whole magazine world upside down all over again. Sure, TV Guide was a huge success in the 1990s, but many other magazines like the Saturday Evening Post, Look, and Life died off. Competition from television for ad dollars and a skyrocket in postal service rates was their doom.
To survive the threat posed by the success of broadcast media, print publications worked to stand out from their competitors by developing market niches. During this transition, magazine editors found that by specializing, they were also appealing to advertisers, hoping to reach specific audiences. No longer were ads just going out to the general public. Instead, advertisers could target groups by gender, age, race, class, and social and cultural interests, stated by Jack Rule and Flat World Knowledge. One of the most influential niche magazines to appear during the early years of magazine history was the National Geographic. It stood out through its outstanding, high-quality photos and the essays that ran along with them. This publication opened up new vistas of cultural awareness and understanding, stated by PhD Ron Whitaker with Cyber College. A lot of people didn't agree with the cultural awareness that the National Geographic at times portrayed. African and Filipino women, normally in their own villages, bare-breasted. People complained to the National Geographic saying, "How could you show such things?" The National Geographic didn't budge or decide to change. Their mission was to accurately depict the world in which different cultures lived, and that centering commonplace elements in these cultures would violate that principle. Even with issues such as that, the National Geographic, unlike most of the early magazines, still remains one of the most major U.S. magazines, says Ron Whitaker. Marilyn Monroe, a huge icon back in the 1800s, was appearing everywhere, and so were women's magazines in general.
Women's magazines that were generally bought at the supermarket checkout rather than by mail-delivered subscription. And while magazines like Women's Day and Better Homes and Gardens follow the successful formula of banking on the image of women as homemakers and consumers, social change in the 70s brought about women's magazines such as Cosmopolitan, which were much more concerned with feminism, sexuality, career, and politics.
But to this day, magazines continue to thrive, mostly thanks to women, teens, and is also surviving through other media.
Every new technology supposedly has to kill an older technology to make room for itself.
But that's not how media works.
What actually happens is that people find room in their lives for the new medium alongside the media they already love.
As long as those media continue to evolve and provide an irreplaceable value.
But the rumors of our death are, as an old magazine guy once said, greatly exaggerated.
Merely myths. The story of magazine's power.
The story of magazine's strength
And scope and unique cultural impact.
The story of magazine's particular relationship with our readers, a bond we share with no other medium.
The story, which will come as a surprise to many, of magazine's strength and vitality.
We're going to tell the story in the way that we know best, in print.
its telling begins today.